Honorable Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen of the media, good morning. It is wonderful to be in Trinidad and Tobago in sweet, sweet TNT. I understand that if I want to be Trini to the bone, I will have to learn how to Ramajai and Dimgolai and eat plenty of doubles. And I've already filled my suitcase with chocolates from Grand River and Braço Seco. And I must say I tasted them last night, and the problem was to stop. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for your warm welcome. Trinidad is a fitting place to mark CARICOM's 50th anniversary. Your country is an example of the strength and richness that comes from unity in diversity. And your region is an example of the power of a shared moral voice for global change. Caribbean nations may be small in size, but you are taking on the largest challenges of our age. You are on the frontiers of global debates around climate action, finance justice, and sustainable development. I am pleased that those global debates in the coming year will be led in the UN General Assembly by its new president, a proud Trimbagonian, Ambassador Denis Francis. His election is testament to the value the international community places on Caribbean expertise and leadership. And it continues Trinidad and Tobago's legacy of leadership in multilateral affairs. From the champion of international justice and one of the main architects of International Criminal Court, the late Arthur Robinson, to pioneers of the law of the sea like Lennox Bala and Anthony Luckey. I also want to salute Trinidad and Tobago for introducing the General Assembly resolution on women, disarmament, non-proliferation and arms control, which recognizes the essential role of women in advancing peace and security. You have served with distinction in the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, and a range of other UN bodies and organs. And the United Nations is proud to be your partner. As I have just discussed with the Prime Minister, we are united across the spectrum of our shared priorities. United in calling for transformative reforms to an international financial system that is failing developing and emerging economies. Our UN country team is working with Trinidad and Tobago on a multidimensional vulnerability index to ensure you receive the support you need in the face of immense external shocks. We are united in pursuit of multilateral solutions to global problems, from tackling widening inequalities to bolstering citizens' security, to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, to advancing peace, and to find the trafficking of drugs and weapons. I have come here from Haiti, where the security situation is rapidly deteriorating and humanitarian needs are soaring. I reiterate my call on all partners to increase support for Haiti's national police in the form of financing, training, or equipment. And we must collectively do more to help the Haitian people chart a path towards elections and a political solution. But there can be no lasting security without strengthening democratic institutions, and there can be no strong democratic institutions without a drastic improvement of the security situation. That is why I have been advocating for the deployment of an international security force authorized by the Security Council and able to cooperate with the Haiti National Police to dismantle the gangs that have created this unprecedented violence. And I register the fact that both African and Caribbean countries have shown their availability to participate in this effort. And I appeal to those that have the capacity that is needed to do so to also volunteer themselves. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we are also united in urging more ambitious action against the climate crisis that is threatening the very survival of small island and low-lying coastal states. We must cut carbon emissions by 45% in this decade to limit global heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius and avoid the worst impacts of climate change. It is still possible, but it requires action by everyone on every front. That is why I have called for a climate solidarity pact, in which all big emitters make extra efforts to cut emissions and wealthier countries mobilize financial and technical resources to support emerging economies. And it is why I have presented a plan to supercharge our efforts, the Acceleration Agenda, which includes calls to urgently scale up support for adaptation and operationalize the Loss and Damage Fund this year. Yesterday, I had the great pleasure of visiting the Azurite Nature Center. I was struck by its enormous natural beauty and inspired by our determined efforts to safeguard its incredible biodiversity. We must step our actions on every front, for people, for prosperity, and for the planet. And throughout, let us take inspiration from your national motto: together we aspire, together we achieve. Because, as a Trimbagonian colleague reminded me the other day, one hand can't clap. Thank you.